Welcome to another edition of Tuesday's Expert Speak. I have picked up a very relevant topic for this week. We are going to discuss about the income tax due date return and the latest updates from the income tax department. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I am Dr. Chandrakant, but your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Dear viewers, expert of the week is our distinguished faculty, the popular faculty on NRI Money Clinic, the popular chartered accountant, Mr. C.A. Sriram. I don't have to introduce Mr. C.A. Sriram on NRI Money Clinic. He is a partner at Nitin J. Shetty & Co., an expert on direct taxes, an expert on international taxation, double tax avoidance agreement, man who has got to his credit solving the tax queries and problems of high net worth individuals across the globe. Welcome to this another edition of Expert 6, Mr. Sriram.
Thank you.
Mr. Sriram, it's a income tax filing return season. Most people have done, some people forgot, some people didn't know that the due date has come. There are all kinds of people.
Yeah.
For the benefit of our viewers, kindly tell what does the law say with respect to filing due dates? Can you briefly inform the audience?
Yeah. Generally, under income tax, there would be 3 due dates for preparation and filing the return of income. The first due date, that is 31st of July of every year, that is in which you will be filing the return of income of immediate preceding financial year. So, by that time they have to file. For all the cases where they do not have to do any audit, compulsory audit under either Income Tax Act or any other act. So, the first due date, preliminary due date which has to be kept in mind is 31st of July of every year. So, if your case is coming under audit in the sense you have a business operations in India and that business operations, books of accounts, etc., that has to be audited either under Income Tax Act or any other act. So, at that time the due date for preparation and filing the return of income will be 31st of October.
Okay.
One more due date is there for transfer pricing cases which is 30th of November, which may not be relevant for most of the individuals.
Okay. Now, this is what the law says.
Correct.
But there are cases where people could not file the return on time. It can happen under any circumstances.
Yes.
Somebody may forget it, somebody could be in a hospital, something might have happened.
Correct.
Is there a condonation of delay or is there an extended period of time which is permitted under law for such individuals to come and file the tax return?
Yes, of course. Under Income Tax Act, if you have missed out these due dates, preliminary due dates, then one can file belated returns, what we say under the Act. So, one can file that belated returns within 31st of December, meaning thereby if you have missed 31st of July due date, you can file the return of income by 31st of December of that year.
Right, right.
So, earlier it was 31st of March. Now, from this financial year, I mean the financial year 21-22 onwards, the due date has been preponed by 3 months.
Earlier it was the March of the following year.
Yes, March of the following year. So, now this is preponed by 3 months. Now, it is 31st December of that immediate next year.
Okay.
So, like that. So, by that time they can file.
So,
but of course, there will be certain consequences of filing the returns belatedly.
Okay.
There would be, if there is a tax liability which is pending on the due date of filing the return, that is a preliminary due date, one need to pay additional interest at 1% under one section, okay, 1% per month. So, that is one consequence. Second consequence is you will have to pay a late filing fee. Either it may be 1,000 or 5,000 as the case may be.
Okay.
So, if your income is more than 5 lakh, then 5,000 rupees. If your income is within 5 lakh, then 1,000 rupees.
It's a standard fee.
Standard fee. So, that is the second consequence. And the third consequence or the important consequence, if you have a loss for that year, which you want to carry forward to the next year, under either business operations or professional income or say capital gains, etc., you will not be allowed to carry forward that loss. If you do not file the return of income within the due date prescribed, okay, not the belated returns.
Okay.
You should file the return. If you have a loss and if you want to carry forward,
Okay.
You have to file by 31st of July or 31st of October, as the case may be, which is applicable for you.
Only then you are allowed to carry forward the losses.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any exceptions there?
There are exceptions. Like, for example, if you have a loss under the head house property.
Okay.
So, the loss under the head house property can be carried forward even if you file the belated returns.
Okay.
Same way, if there is a loss from depreciation, so that depreciation loss also can be carried forward even if you file a belated return.
But if there is a capital loss with respect to trading of shares, mutual
No,
fund,
that cannot be carried forward.
that cannot be carried
Yes.
forward. So that's a big drawback for people who are filing the tax return late.
Yes.
So they should make a conscious attempt to finish off the audit or filing of tax return well within the stipulated period of time.
Correct.
Okay.
Here one addition, this is only this year's loss cannot be carried forward.
Ah, okay.
If you have brought forward loss of previous year, that can be carried forward by filing the belated returns.
Okay. The penalties for this year's.
This year's only.
Right, right.
Because this year you
So
have,
in your previous balance sheet, you had some carry forward losses during the belated returns that can be done.
yes, because previous year you have filed the return of income within time. So it is allowed. This year, for whatever reason, you have not filed within time. That's why it is not allowed.
Okay.
Losses can be offset also in belated returns, but it cannot be carried forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Sriram, you gave me the details about belated returns.
Yeah.
One of the problems that might happen while filing the tax return is, I filed my tax return. I forgot to include something or I did not have an information. Subsequently, I discovered that I have made a mistake. I need to add something, delete something. What is the procedure? Is it permitted or not? Is there a provision in the law that I can amend the filed return now, or is there a due date for that?
Yeah. Now, if somebody omits something to be mentioned in their return of income, or somebody commits a mistake, clerical mistake or otherwise, whatever it can be, that can be corrected by filing a revised return. So, this revised return can be filed any number of times, no problem.
Okay.
But there is a due date for that also.
Oh,
So, 31st December is the due date.
okay. Even for filing the revised return?
Yes, if you are filing a belated return or if you are filing a revised return, 31st December is the due date.
Okay.
So, for the financial year 21-22, your original return has to be filed by 31st of July or 31st of October, and the belated return or the revised return, as the case may be, has to be filed by 31st of December 2022 itself. Yeah.
Okay. Suppose if a person has filed a tax return on time, July or October as his case may be,
Correct.
and he files a revised return subsequently, then what happens to this carry forward of capital losses carry forward issue?
It can be carried forward. If in the original return of income, if you have mentioned the carry forward losses, that can be corrected in the revised return also.
Okay.
Okay. But if you have not filed the original return within time,
Okay.
you have filed belated returns, okay, that belated returns you are revising now.
Okay.
Since the original return is a belated return,
Okay.
you cannot carry forward the losses under revised return.
Okay.
So, the law remains the same.
If you have filed your returns prior,
Yes.
you can carry forward the loss, you can revise your return permitted.
Correct.
You have missed the original date, you
Correct.
have filed a belated return, you have a permission to revise your return, but you can't carry forward the loss.
No. No.
Clear?
Yes.
Right. Now you said that there is a small fee to be paid for filing the belated return. Is there a fee which is applicable for the revised return?
No. There is no fee applicable to the revised return.
So at will you can come and do that?
Yes.
Right.
But within the due date.
Within the due date. Right. Mr. Sriram, you told me about the due dates. Maybe in case of a resident Indian it might happen, but for a case of NRIs, a lot of people keep asking me, we have never filed the tax return, there were some TDS done by the bank, there were some TDS in the transactions. Can we do this now? Do we have to do it or we can just leave it aside? Whether we will be permitted to file the return, whether we will be permitted to claim back if we have forgot the basic due date, belated due dates, an opportunity to file the revised return, we have missed everything. Is there a possibility for me to come back at a later point, indefinite period of time? Can I come back, file the return?
The answer to this question is yes and no as well. So, we need to see each and every specific fact and circumstances, then we can come to a conclusion. Now, there can be three scenarios.
Okay.
Okay. One, a person who is not having a taxable income, since he does not have a taxable income, he has not, there was no TDS also done on his case, nothing was there. Or he has taxable income to that extent of tax, there is already a TDS deducted, tax deducted.
Okay.
Or he has paid advance taxes.
Okay.
There is no further tax liability for him, neither there is any refund for him.
Okay. Neutral
So,
case.
Neutral case. So, whatever tax has to be paid, that is paid. So, under these fact and circumstances, it does not have a chance to file either, any kind of returns. So, if you does not have neither the refund nor the tax liability.
So it's a neutral case.
Yes.
But but the only mistake in this case is you have not filed the
filed
tax
the return
return,
of income.
but there is no liabilities on
There
that.
is no liability,
Right.
no additional liability.
So it will not permit you to file the tax return
At
beyond
all.
the due date.
There is no provision at all under the Income Tax Act to file any kind of return for these kind of cases.
Right.
Now, the second scenario would be for a person on whom there is a TDS deducted or tax deducted source.
Such cases are many.
Yes, possibly. So, they have a chance. They have a chance to file a kind of a belated return by applying to the principal commissioner, his jurisdictional principal commissioner, for a condonation of delay. First of all, he has to file an application for condonation of delay.
So it's not a normal online
No,
route.
it's not a normal online method directly. First of all, you have to file a manual application for condonation of delay. Get the delay of, due date. I mean, you have missed all the due dates, right? So, that delay has to be condoned by the commissioner. So, while condoning the delay, the commissioner will see whether there is any genuine hardship to the particular assessee if the refund is not provided to him. So, you have to prove the genuineness. So, there is some particular scenario because of which you are not able to file the return of income for that particular year, 1 or 2 years or any number of years. Under these facts and circumstances, if the commissioner condones the delay and passes an order condoning the delay, then you can file a online return of income.
Okay.
But here the maximum number of years which you can go back is 6 years.
Okay. But 6 years is
Yes.
quite a good number of years.
Correct. You can go back up to 6 years and claim the refunds. Only if there is a refund, this is the procedure.
This is the second one.
Yes. If you do not have a refund, but you have certain tax liability to be paid over and above the TDS or advance tax what you have already paid. Okay. Whether or not you have filed the earlier returns, okay, earlier within the due date or belated returns, whether you have filed or not, you have an option to file an updated return. This is the new law which has come into force from this financial year.
Okay.
Okay, from budget 2022 it has been introduced and it has come into force now.
It is called the updated.
It is called updated returns.
Okay.
Original return, belated return, revised return, updated returns.
Okay.
So, if one has a tax liability to be paid, then he can file updated return. He can go up to 2 years backwards and file an updated return now. But here there is a penal provision for him.
Okay.
Penal provision in the sense the tax and the interest what he is liable to pay, that he has to pay plus either 25% if you are going back 1 year backwards, or tax plus interest plus 50% of this tax and interest if you are going back to the second year backwards.
Okay. First year 25%.
Yeah, I mean if you are filing now for the financial year 21-22, then it is within time. Belated return you can file. If you want to file for 2021, then there should be a tax liability, tax plus interest plus 25% of this tax plus interest.
Right.
Okay. But if you want to file for the financial year 19-20, then tax plus interest of that year plus 50% of that.
Oh.
It's quite a big number, but you have an option.
Yeah. So instead of getting caught in a scrutiny and
Correct.
other things,
Correct.
probably it makes sense. You have realized that there is a mistake, you pay it off and square it off.
Correct. So, this is the third scenario.
Okay.
If you have a tax liability to pay over and above the interest, the TDS and the advance tax, even if you have 10 rupee tax liability over and above that, so that you can file updated returns.
Right. My question is,
Yeah.
somebody has filed a tax return 2 years before or 1 year before,
Yeah.
and assessment has been done, order has been passed.
Okay.
Why he has to do this? He may say that, okay, order has been passed and I have nothing to be done. I know that I have to pay some taxes. Order has been passed. The matter is closed. Is there a reason for him to pay that tax?
Now, the issue comes here is this updated returns, what I have mentioned now, has got certain limitations.
Okay.
Limitation in the sense, they have given certain provisions wherein this updated returns cannot be filed at all.
Hmm.
In the fact and circumstances, as I have already informed, if there is a loss to be carried forward, you want to claim a carry forward of loss, which you have not claimed in the earlier returns, original return, or earlier belated returns, or earlier revised return. So you are claiming additional, you can't file the updated return.
Okay.
So if you have a refund, anyway I have told only if there is additional tax you can file updated return. So refund cases or increased refund cases or reducing of refund cases, but still there is a refund, you can't file updated returns.
Hmm.
So there should be actual tax liability and there should be actual payment of taxes now while filing this updated return.
Only if there is a tax to be paid to the exchequer, you are allowed to file a updated return,
Correct.
not for anything else.
Not for anything else. And over and above, now the example what you have given, if there is an assessment which is already completed, then also you are not allowed to file an updated returns because his scrutiny is already completed.
Okay.
There are certain other exceptions also. Say for example, if that person has been searched under Income Tax Act or surveyed under Income Tax Act, his business premises or his house or whatever it may be, at that time also that person for that particular years where search survey has taken place, or after search and survey there would be revised returns to be filed for earlier years, etc. At that time also you can't come under updated return case. So there can be certain other facts and circumstances. Say for example, there are certain information with the assessing officer, his jurisdictional assessing officer, saying that he has done some certain transactions under Black Money Act or Benami Act, or say under double taxation avoidance agreement, he has not declared certain informations or say incomes which he has earned outside of India, which is otherwise would have been taxed. These informations are already there with the assessing officer and he has communicated that to the assessee. So after communication also for that particular year he cannot file a updated return. So there are restrictions, but these are very finer points. Generally one will be allowed to file updated returns.
Okay, to summarize, what I would say is you have the taxpayer, if he feels that he has a tax liability to be discharged,
Correct.
and his previously filed returns are still not assessed or scrutinized or orders not passed,
Correct.
then there is a scope for you to file an updated return.
Correct.
But if you don't have any liabilities to be discharged against the tax liability, there is no question of filing an updated return.
Correct.
So everything closes with the revised returns.
Perfect.
There ends the matter.
Correct.
Even in case of updated returns to be filed, there are certain restrictions with respect to if orders are passed, scrutiny is done, search and surveys have been done, then you may not be allowed to file an updated return.
Yeah.
Is it
Here-
fair to say?
Yeah. Here one finer point. Say if one is already filed original return or belated return, revised return, whatever it may be, and that has been processed by the Central Processing Center by passing an intimation under 143(1) of the Income Tax Act, we say, and is already he has got the refund or whatever, one processing order will come by having a heading of intimation. That doesn't mean that there is a scrutiny being completed.
Oh, so people should not mistake that.
Correct. So if there is a processing done of the return of income by passing an intimation by Central Processing Center, then also that person has a chance to file an updated return.
Okay. If in doubt, better to ask your professional chartered accountants to check whether they have a right to file the returns now or
Correct.
not. That's the best way to
Correct.
look into the matter.
So any year he can go up to 2 years backwards.
Right. Mr. Sriram, thank you very much for this piece of information. That's very useful. Lot of our audience has asked us lot of questions with respect to filing of tax return, due dates, revised return, updated returns, and so many questions. I have done my best to ask you those questions so that all these persons can be answered via this video. Thank you very much for your time. Keep coming to my program and keep answering my audience. I remain in gratitude to you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Right. Dear viewers, hope the video that I have done today helped you to understand when you should file the tax return, when you can file the belated return, how many times you can file the revised return, and your rights to file the updated return. If it helped you to understand these finer points, please like this video. If you are a person who is yet to subscribe this channel, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. Don't forget to share this video with your near and dear ones. I will be back with you next Tuesday with yet another topic, with yet another expert. Till then, stay safe.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.